Hey, less lethal people. So today, me and Angelo are here, and we're posing the question, is the 61 caliber chemical round effective? So what we have here is Angelo has been helping me set this up now, and he's been really good with the camera work because I need as much help as I could get. It's not my field of expertise. And we went down the basement and we got Bob the Gimp, and we brought him up from down the basement and we dressed him up so he's more presentable for you guys. And we put a black mask on him because we want to see just exactly the dispersal of the white powder. So what we have today is we have the .61 caliber inert rounds, which are filled with some sort of talc or powder or whatever it is. I'm not sure what exactly is in there or what they use, but there's some sort of powder inside of those rounds. And I don't think they use talc anymore, actually. I think it's not safe or healthy or whatever, so it's some other powder. But nonetheless, it's not the real OC, and it's supposed to have the same kind of effect for training. So these are the rounds. They're 61 caliber. They're inerts. They come to us from Byrna. They come with the launcher. So what we're going to do today is we're going to pierce, pre-puncture the Byrna CL, and we're going to test the rounds on him. Now I put a little sticker here because this is the area I'm going to aim for, which is generally the proper area we're supposed to aim for, and then hopefully get dispersal around him. We're going to do the test a little bit slow because I really want to focus on the first shot and see what one 61 caliber pepper or chemical round would do. So without further ado, we're going to load up the new Byrna CL magazine with the 5 inert powder rounds. And remember, I think I've told you in another video, I explained the best way to prevent any rounds from cracking is to load them color to color. So that's exactly what we're going to do with this. We're going to follow the proper protocol. And we're going to do gray to gray, white to white, so on and so forth. Now, it wouldn't matter if you did white to gray. You just don't want to do seam to seam when you're doing these. So, but you want one color touching another color. And so we have all 5 of our rounds here. We're going to load it into the magazine. And we're ready to go. Sorry guys, so we're going to show the pre-puncture. You heard it, out. Okay, now we are live, we are hot. Okay, I'm coming back about 10 feet from Bob. And this is going to be the first shot. So look, see where the chemical round is all over the floor. None of it even hit his face. Now, this is important because a lot of times when people do these tests, they use a hard target over here. And we're using purposely a soft jacket. It does break on the jacket, but if you notice where all the chemical rounds went, it went all on the floor. So we're going to have to show something a little bit different here. I'm really glad this did happen. Now, before I do the next shot and before we adjust this, I do want to show you power-wise. It ripped through the sticker and it ripped into, it put a hole inside the vest. So the chemical round did have a decent amount of power. It did rip a hole in there. I do think it would be felt if it was a kinetic round. But this is something that I have been talking about all along. I personally, when I carry chemical rounds, I do not aim in this area. I go straight for the face. Okay? If it's a chemical round, let's see what it does straight to the face.
Try to hit neck also.
All right, that'll do the third shot. I'm going to do the next shot to the face. Okay, that's a solid face shot. It ripped a hole right in the mask. Would this be effective? Obviously, he would breathe it and everything, but
also, look what happened. It came back to you.
It came back to me. And that's another point. Look at me. Bring the camera over to me. I have residual on me, and I'm about 10 feet away. So that means I'm going to be contaminated as well. All right, so this is something to think about when we're carrying chemical rounds. We're going to do a neck shot now. It also came back and hit me, believe it or not, as you could see. Okay, so it did. Now, he is rubber. Don't get me wrong. That's the third shot. I have 2 more shots. So with the next 2 shots, I'm going with the face shot. That's what I would consider an effective shot. Let's bring that up closer, Ange. So, to me, that's an effective shot. So, if I'm carrying chemical rounds, I am not personally going to aim down here. And I'm going to also tell you something. I had a similar experience with a 68 caliber chemical round as well when I used, I used an inert 68 caliber round. I'm actually going to go down and see if I have an inert or not. If I do, I'll do that with the salt supply and show you to compare the two. So as far as I am concerned, I would not hit somebody with a chemical round in the chest. And I'd also be worried it was going to come back and hit me. So we're using Bob here, and I do want to show you something so that you guys don't think it's just because I'm hitting rubber. I put a plastic chest plate. This is the same plastic as the barrel that I use for a trap. It's the piece that I cut out. So it's not that it's hitting a soft rubber piece and bouncing off back at me. It is hitting a hard target when it hits him. There is a little bit of cushioning because of the jacket itself. So this is a very important test that we're doing here, because I would honestly apply this to all chemical launchers. And I think another issue, which we'll do another test down the road, I'll get some 68 caliber ones. I think you're going to have an even bigger issue if you use a high joule launcher, because I think it's going to embed in and not disperse. I think when you use less joules, you have a better chance of it dispersing. So where these are bouncing back after they're hitting him, it's not because they're hitting rubber. The most effective one is to the face. So if you're going to use a chemical round, and I've said this in multiple videos, I am only aiming for the face. Will that chemical round stop him? That will stop anybody getting hit in the eye with that. Will it stop him here? No, it will probably really irritate him, and just breathing it in the room will make him choke, but it's also going to contaminate the shooter. So let's do one more shot to the face, and I want to see if I get any contamination when I hit him in the face. I'm back at 10 feet. Now, the reason I'm choosing 10 feet is because 10 feet is kind of a standard where you would engage. You could be closer. If you're closer, that might be a bigger problem. So we might want to use kinetic rounds on this.
Show how far back the kinetics.
The chemicals. Now, so here's another thing, guys. When you say there's not enough irritant inside of a 61 cal, that's not true. There's a ton of powder on the floor. There's definitely enough payload. But hitting somebody with a winter jacket on is going to be much different when you have these chemical things. And you don't want to shoot somebody in the midsection. This area is for firearms, to stop somebody. Chemical rounds must be shot at the face. That is my opinion. I am not telling you what to do. I am not condoning it, but 100% that will stop somebody. No doubt. Especially with OC, PAVA, or CS. This is not going to stop anybody. Or it's going to maybe slow them down a little, but not fully. Yeah.
Out of curiosity, do you think we should do the last shot and the furthest distance of contamination to see if it actually breaks?
I can do that. All right, I'm going to go back about 15 feet now and shoot. I have 2 more shots. The next shot I'm going to shoot at 15 feet, and the last shot I'm going to go back up to 10 feet to see if I get contaminated with it.
Go even further. That's as far as it was going.
All right, this is as far as it bounced off of him, but that was a body shot. It wasn't a face shot. All right, we're going for a face shot. That will stop somebody. Okay? It's going to get in their nose, on their face, etc. That will stop somebody. Now, and I got nothing on me from 15 feet away. All right, that we're here, and that we have Bob set up. I want to bring the camera up closer, and I want to see what it did to the rubber after the shot. So I have this piece of plastic is actually embedded into the rubber. Like it made a mark in him. It actually really embedded a piece of the plastic in there. Okay, so you have to shoot somebody in the face if you're going to use a chemical round. I'm sorry to say, as much as people do not like to hear that, the proof is in the pudding. So I want to end the video here and go back to the chair, and I want to discuss this a little bit more with you guys. So let's go back and let's talk about this in the chair. All right, less lethal people. So we have a wrap up here of the video that we just did with the 61 cal inert chemical rounds. So as we showed with the video, one of the negatives is the dispersal. There is not very good dispersal when we hit the body with the chemical round. Now, a lot of times when we watch YouTube videos and guys do these videos, they use a metal firearm silhouette, or they have other guys holding a piece of plywood up so that they don't have to take the hit themselves. In reality, nobody walks around with a piece of plywood or a metal silhouette target. They're not made of metal. So we have to try to recreate the most naturalistic scenario we could for the target that we're hitting. And I feel we did that by putting the plastic piece on Bob's chest to stimulate the sternum, and then covering him with average clothes people would wear. Okay, somebody would wear a puffy jacket or vest like that. The other negative issue that we had was when it did break and come back, there was quite a bit of collateral damage. Which brings me to another point. Is there enough of payload in a 61 cal? After looking at the flaw and after being cross-contaminated with it, yes, a 61 cal is fine payload-wise for chemicals. There's more than enough chemical in that. In fact, so much that I was contaminated by it. So that's my opinion, my fact on that. That's what we found out. We see that with that. The positives that we got from this are, number one, we all tested this and it tested out at around 20, 21 joules, something like that. I feel it's powerful enough. Every single round did break. And when I went back to look at Bob, I had hit the button, the metal button, and I broke the metal button. Okay, so that chemical round broke the metal button on the jacket. That means there is kinetic force behind it, so it is powerful. When we shot him in the face, we also saw a piece of plastic from the ball get stuck into the face of Bob. Now, I did a test like this a long time ago with the 68 cal, and I had a very similar result. And my takeaway was the same thing. If I had pepper spray or pepper gel, why would I aim pepper spray or pepper gel at somebody's chest? Pepper spray and pepper gel is made for the face. And that's where it's supposed to be used. I feel the same when it comes to pepper balls. And I had said that when I did the 68 cal video as well, because I had a very similar result. And back then, if you remember, it was all over the floor and made a mess as well. So, in my opinion, shooting closer to your upper extremity, the face area, is the only way to go. It is still better than using a firearm and shooting somebody there. Remember, a firearm, when people talk about that, that's meant for the body because it dumps energy inside of you and it's supposed to end the problem. This does not dump energy. It's not supposed to penetrate and go into you. It's supposed to hit you on the surface and the energy stops there. It's not meant to be fatal. It's not meant to take a life. It's meant to preserve a life. That being said, I think any shot with chemical rounds to this area or a kinetic round at 20 joules, 15 joules is going to be extremely effective in this area, and it's not going to take a life like a firearm. Now we have joule nuts out there that want higher and higher, 70 joules, 100 joules, 50 joules. That, if you hit somebody with 50 to 100 joules or 60 joules, 70 joules in this area, there's a really strong chance you're going to take a life with that. And I do not at all think that that's recommended, and that's totally not what we want to do. I do feel 100% 20 joules in this area, 15 joules, especially with chemicals involved, you're going to get the psychological factor that it was designed for. You're going to get the pain compliance it was designed for, and you're going to get the chemical compliance it was designed for. My opinion is if you use a 61 cal coming from a launcher like the Byrna CL in this area, it will be extremely effective. I think if you use any chemical round from any launcher, whether it's a 61 or a 68, and you're in the body area, it will not be that effective because now you're taking the percentage of each of the three components away. You may have the psychological effect. Somebody may be like, oh my God, what did I get hit with? The psychological will be there. The pain compliance will not nearly be as much as it would be in the upper extremity. The chemical compliance will seriously diminish because we saw that with the dispersal, it's not there when it hits an average target like a human body or a jacket or something to that effect. So, while some people may be hesitant to use this launcher and use it in the face or head area, it's still a much better alternative than using a real firearm, and it can still be extremely effective. So we have to start thinking that way. It also gets us to start thinking when used in a certain way, we may not need the tremendous joules that we think we do. I know I've said it before in videos and stuff. When I was a kid, getting hit here and needing stitches, you get hit in certain areas over here. The skin is very thin. Something 20 joules is going to do damage over there. Okay, it's going to be effective, but it's not going to be fatal and take a life, which is what we're looking to do. Okay. The other thing we have to look at is we may not need to be as close to the target as we possibly think. We may be able to be back around 15, 16 feet, especially if we're using a chemical to keep that person at bay, which gives us even more of an opportunity and space to run and get out of there after we use the less lethal launcher. So I noticed with the face shots that I did not have as much collateral damage, and I noticed that this launcher has the power it needs. 100%. After I looked at Bob and I saw the button, I hit the button, not the jacket. After I cleaned the powder off, I destroyed the button on the jacket with the chemical round. So I do feel that this launcher definitely has ample power to get the job done, especially if used in the right area. Also, too, we have to remember the neck is very soft, very sensitive tissue. A shot there would be kind of devastating as well. Okay. I also feel that the launcher has the power to shoot the distance it needs when you're far enough back. You don't have to be right on top of your target. You can be 15, 20 feet away from that assailant and be effective with this, and you'll have enough space where you can run and get out of there before something happens. You don't have to be right on top of the person. That's for sure. When I was back at 15 feet, there was zero blowback or zero collateral damage from the inert chemical round. I also noticed there was very little collateral damage when I had a face shot to Bob. So these are some of the things that I really want you guys to take into consideration. Next time, we're going to use some of the real chemical rounds, and we're going to use them outside. I want to do another test with them and see the dispersal effect of those chemicals and how they are outdoors. And the reason I want to do it with the chemicals is obviously they're not a powder chalky projectile. They're going to have different chemicals in them. So we have to really see. We're going to keep Bob dressed the same, but we're going to use the real live OC chemical round to see how that disperses. That may actually disperse differently because it may have different chemicals in it. But today we just tested the inert to see exactly what would happen. And I feel confident carrying the Byrna CL. I am going to change up my load pattern in here. So I will now be carrying it with a chemical, a kinetic, two chemicals, and another kinetic. So the first shot out is going to be a kinetic, followed by two chemicals, followed by a kinetic, followed by a last chemical. One chemical round to the face will be 100% effective. One chemical round to the face from that video, from what I saw, will be 100% effective, both psychologically, pain compliance, and chemical compliance. So I don't think we need to carry as many chemical rounds as we think if we're using this the right way. And I definitely think having one or two kinetics in here is a smart choice. So as far as I'm concerned, I think that's what I learned today. And I think that has to be the takeaway for you guys when it comes to this. Okay, I think there's definitely a place for this, and I think it's good. Remember, kinetic is geared towards the body, chemical geared towards the facial head area. And we have to remember that. Always remember, and just use common sense. I wouldn't spray somebody in the chest with pepper spray or pepper gel. That's not what it's made for. Not to be completely effective. Yes, it may bother them. It may do the job, but it's not going to be 100%. So if you want to be 100%, chemical has to be here, where your senses are, because that's what it's geared to attack. Anyway, guys, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. I hope you enjoyed the video. There's going to be a lot more testing and stuff coming up with this. Please feel free to reach out. I'll leave a link down in the description below of our website. Have a great day.